We're just over 90 hours away from Donald Trump taking the oath of office here in the nation's capital. A brand new CNN poll gives us some insight into how Americans are feeling about his return to the White House. Look at his favorability. It's at its highest in 4 years. It's at 46%, still underwater, but better than it's been. When you ask Americans the question, will the United States be better off in 4 years from now? Well, more than half of those polled say yes. CNN political analyst Maggie Haberman joins me now. And Maggie, Trump is getting something of the honeymoon that his supporters would argue he was denied 8 years ago.
Yes, I mean, there's no question. Look, when he came into office in 2017, he had just been briefed by the intel chiefs who were under President Obama about Russian interference in the 2016 election, and then privately by James Comey about this discredited, ultimately, dossier that had all kinds of lurid allegations about Trump. And that set the tone for what was coming, and that is how Trump saw the world he was entering into, and it was a job that he didn't know, and a city he really didn't know. He now is, and there was immense opposition to him. I expect, Jake, there will be eventually. I don't think this honeymoon is going to stay the way it is now, but so far Democrats have been pretty sapped of energy, and a lot of corporate America is parading down to Mar-a-Lago to make nice with Donald Trump and giving enormous amounts of money to his inaugural, and his super PAC.
And we should note that dossier was paid for by lawyers for Hillary Clinton, which we did not learn until later in 2017.
Correct, and filled with all kinds of things that have been debunked.
Yeah, so kind of interesting. Anyway, our poll also asked how likely it is that Trump will make good on his policies, including divisive ones like implementing tariffs, carrying out mass deportations. About 3/4 of those polled say that they think the deportations are going to happen. You're well sourced in the Trump world. Which are these do you think he's really going to fulfill as much as he promised he would?
I think tariffs and deportations are going to be very high. On
like 20 million people deported?
I can't put a number on it. I think he's going to try to do as many as he is going to, as he can. And he said that in 2016 too, that he was going to do the largest mass deportation effort in U.S. history. That did not happen.
Right.
I think that his team has learned. I think that they are more prepared. I think that Stephen Miller, who is his policy chief, Jonathan Swan and Charlie Savage and David Fairholt, and I just wrote a big story about how much expansive power he has now. This is going to look very different. Stephen Miller is the one person who really learned both in the White House last time and in the 4 years since. And so I do think that they are going to move faster and likely more effectively. Do I think it will necessarily hit the goals that Trump talked about? Possibly not, but I do think that the Overton window has shifted, specifically on immigration. I think on tariffs to some extent too. So what the public is willing to tolerate on this is very different than in, say, 2017.
Trump's pick for Attorney General Pam Bondi told senators on Wednesday that there will be no enemies list, but then Trump posted on social media just a few hours later naming 11 people who I guess he feels have wronged him, that if you worked for them, you can't work in his administration, including a number of people who worked for him in the last administration, including Mark Milley, James Mattis, and Mark Esper. I mean, does that undermine the no enemies list? That looks like something of an enemies list.
I think there's a difference between we're not going to hire certain people and we're going to prosecute certain people. And I think that is the distinction there. I also would argue that Trump missed a few people who we know were on that list of his personally. It becomes unrealistic at a certain point to say, I am not going to hire anybody who ever might have had an interaction with certain people or said certain things, but the Trump team has made loyalty in their terms a pretty top-mind focus as they are doing these hires. That is different than, here is a list of people we are going to prosecute. Now, what the incoming Attorney General, assuming she gets confirmed, said was, we're not targeting people just because of their political party. That gives her a little bit of room on what exactly that might look like. I also don't think that Pam Bondi or Todd Blanche or Emil Bove, all of whom have worked for Trump privately in some capacity, need to, or as a lawyer, need a list. They don't need to be handed something. I mean, he posts things like this, so people know what he wants, but I don't think those two things are the same.
Yeah, but there's also, we're not going to do it for their political beliefs, but for instance, just to throw an example out there, Donald Trump feels wronged by the special counsel Jack Smith.
Correct. So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that the political belief thing is a bit of a way of evading the question. Exactly. And so It may not be because people are, registered to a certain political party, but who they are looking at in some cases is likely to relate to their interactions with Donald Trump.
Who you said he missed some people? Who did he miss?
I think Mike Pompeo was one of the people I was surprised.
Oh, really?
There's people he's been very angry at. I don't think he considers him an enemy, but he's been. He's generally not been embracing of him and made a point of saying that he was not rejoining the administration.
Maggie Haberman, Happy New Year. Always good to have you. Thank you so much for being here.